So Ryan Barby's back in my house. Do you know what? After part one, after everything we've been through, and after everything you've done since, I didn't think I'd see you again, my brother. Do you know what? I've been on YouTube, and I'm starting to think this man's done more podcasts than I have. Obviously, you've achieved a lot, and do you know what? I'm going to get straight into it. Now, COP26. Now, COP26, yeah, is the conference. Wow, it's just it's a mega event, and with over 100 world leaders talking about climate change. Now, what's spectacular about that in itself is that this is the first time that COP has been held in Britain. COP, you know, one of the main spokesmen of COP actually said that they prefer holding it in warmer countries because it has a high success rate. Now, COP, obviously COP26, because it's the 26th year of running, you know, it started, you know, I believe in '95 in Germany, and with over 100 leaders there, and you know, the highest security you can have, which is obviously the American Secret Service. Now, I mean, for those that don't know, or for those that have been living under a rock, the Secret Service is one of the most, if not the most, elite security in the world. And to have an honour of working with them is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity. The reason of that being is, in order to be in the Secret Service, not only do you have to be a US citizen, you have to be born in the US. And statistically speaking, you know, in 2011, with over 16,000 applicants, only 1% managed to get in. And in order to actually get into the Secret Service, you know, you have to be elite physically, mentally, between the age of 21 and 37. The only way you can get into the Secret Service after 37 is if you're a heavy war veteran. Now, the elephant in the room here is the fact that the Secret Service were there for one reason, and that was to protect the leader of the free world, Joe Biden, the American president. And you had the privilege of working with them. Now, can I just state also, before I ask you this question, that not only was this the first COP that took place in Britain, as I said, because it's normally taken in sunny countries and it's normally held between October and November, it may be the last. So, I mean, I'm saying this because I think the achievement of what you're about to explain is so heavily amplified by that. So, I mean, let's cut to the chase. I want to hear from start to finish every nitty-gritty detail of what happened, of you working alongside the Secret Service, the FBI, to protect the leader of the free world in a conference that had the most significant and elite, powerful leaders, bro. So talk to me, Babs.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like you said, like once in a lifetime opportunity, something I'll never forget. And it was a pinnacle of my career in the private security industry. You can't really top it. So I was absolutely buzzing when I did it. It put my mind at rest with my military career. Like afterwards, finally get to do something. Everyone's got their own path in life, so I'm glad everything went that direction. So I got to achieve that. So on the last day of the tasking, the Secret Service gave me a reward, like to say like thank you for the hard work when I was on that task. So that was like the best honour for me, really.
So was that a commander coin?
Yeah, they gave me a pin badge, and then you get say thank you, give the coin as well.
Wow. You know, for some, you know, since we last spoke, I've done a little bit of research about the coin now. There's one story that sticks out to me, and that's the story of the pilot. Now, in World War II, I believe it was a French gentleman, I could be wrong, but you know, he was flying and his plane was shot down. Now, they were about to execute him, I believe, in Nazi Germany. And once he pulled out the gold coin, he proved who he was and how powerful he was, and they actually set him free. And it said that they gave him beverage and alcohol, like they gave him food and looked after him and sheltered him. So the significance of that coin is your military career and your CP career almost combined in one, and that is your trophy for possibly the highest task that you could have, you know.
So yeah, that's what that motto was there, like for the like confidence and like the trust in you sort of thing. That was good. Going back to your question, you said like start from the start and go to the end. I sort of like hit the nail on the head and went right to the end. But I'll go back to the start. Like you want, obviously the viewers want to know the story how we got to this point. Was initially when I first went on the task, I was just a standard CPO, close protection operator that was going to be operating on this task, and then I didn't know I was going to be. I didn't know I was on the American team. So when I got the news on that I was on the American team, after we boarded the cruise ship and we got all the briefings.
Yeah.
The briefings were really good as well because they hyped us up and they told everything was what and made sure everyone was like spot on because they tried to get the best people they could for the job. And they said, "Yes, you'll never get a bigger CP job than this." Like we said, over 100 world leaders there for the world because you've got the security of absolutely all angles. I mean, the people in-house, there's nations that don't get along as well as people out, and then you had all the protesters, and with the protests as well, like it wasn't just the climate, anti-climate people protesting, a lot of people around the world seen this as an opportunity to protest what they believed in. So you had protests about absolutely everything. One of the biggest protests I've seen now when I was a women's rights protest, but nothing to do with climate change, and there was people from Africa come over about the coal mines and different like scenarios. So a lot of people seen that as the whole world is going to be there. So that's I sort of you can imagine the terror threat, or the threat for anything went like through the roof.
So were you expecting that?
No, we prepared for everything. That's why it was like the biggest like CP task in history. But also when we were on the ship, when we arrived at the cruise ship, we got designated doing little jobs. We said they're hyping up saying this, you never get like bigger than this, like for the threat, because for security eyes, that's what we are. Like the threats, like all angles, all different scenarios, different nations, different like it's world and human nature. Not everyone gets on, but to have everyone together, we had like high level, not just the political. We had like Sir David Attenborough there doing his work, like Leonardo DiCaprio comes. We had like high level like actors and names in the world as well. We've got like because obviously you got like the world leaders, but you got like their deputies and the vices and stuff. Like the amount, if you add it all together, the amount of people that are in power in that same vicinity, like you can't replicate it because everyone was just there. So the threat went through the roof. Everyone had their own like teams and stuff. But when I got told that I was with the USA, which in my book was the best one because Russia pulled out, and then the Queen was actually I don't know if people know this, but the Queen was actually supposed to open it, but she fell sick, so she didn't do it. Because obviously that would have been good to work with the Queen and royal family. So after taking Russia and the Queen out sort of thing, like USA like was big enough as it was anyway, but that was like the number one hitter there. And like I said, I was only supposed to be a standard CPO on that task, but after the first day, I became 2IC through the guy that was the team leader of the task for the night team. We had the day team that was run by ex-French Foreign Legion lad. He was a good lad, and so with the nights they had like the team leader for that. So I was just 2IC because we shared mutual friends.
2IC second in command.
Yeah, we had mutual friends from when he worked in Kabul with the British Embassy in Afghanistan. Because by good fortune, one of the lads who worked out there was like in the regiment with me. So I got like 2IC just cut around. I wasn't even doing much different than anywhere else. Just put the rails in charge, certain things like that when you're doing that role, and then he had to go back to the ship on the second day for a different tasking, or whatever we had to do in his personal life, or whatever happened. He had to go do like something else. So they took me outside and they said, "How do you feel about like stepping up to being the team leader?" So I just like grabbed it with both hands. I said, "Oh, I'll do that." And then so on the second day, I was like going to be like the team leader. This is before like the president or the principal they'd like come in sort of thing. So we were there for like a good like week or whatever beforehand, planned everything. So at the destination he was going to be, we had to keep everything away from public eye. I wasn't allowed to tell like anyone, like even anyone back home, like no one knew what I was doing or what I was up to. Like you'd be straight off task if you put anything on socials or made it cool. So we was on that, and it was a good opportunity for me as well to like improve my skills and like push myself to my limit as well. So I got a really good buzz out of it as well, if I'm honest. Like it was really sort of like a surreal moment. But when we did all the planning, we were working obviously alongside Secret Service, but anyone in the British, whatever, like if any police authorities or anything, they had to like answer to us. Like had like Secret Service and like, but to be fair, they called the shots. We sort of like did what they did. We worked around them. But anyone like apart from that, even in Scotland, the top constable of like Scotland, we had the power to say, oh, no, you're not allowed in here, sort of thing. We were like just like working in conjunction like with them. But seeing them work and operate and everything they were doing was just like a sponge, really. Something. It's like being in the gym for like MMA, like you get to like grapple with like Khabib or something, and DC's watching or something, and like Joe Rogan's like giving you tips and stuff. Like it was similar to that. Like it was like so it was really good to be a sponge and look how they operate and learn off them. I was always asking questions, how do that, how do this, and then we were doing the sweeps. Any vehicle went near, like the dog searches and stuff. But what impressed me most is how quick they operate as well. That when it's like I'm jumping forward here, but when it was time to leave, the way they pack their kit and then off sort of thing, everything. So you must drill it all the time. They like leave no stone unturned. And like when they had them in the base, like ready for when he was going to arrive. So if the viewers know this, because the conference held in Glasgow, so the public and media, like everyone thought he was going to stay in Glasgow, and there's a lot of talk of it being a hotel called Glen Eagles, which is like a 5-star hotel in Glasgow. It's not too far away from the conference was. They had CPs like and people like operating there as well. So all the media there, because on the media, that's why you don't see any real footage in the papers and the news of them coming in, because it's through night time. You only see them when they're leaving, because a lot like
because the picture of you that was in the newspaper was when he was leaving, and that was next to the car.
That was the next day, yeah. So that was when obviously.
But go back to the hotel, the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was a calculated, planned decoy. Like, tell me a little bit about that, man.
Well, they had to. I don't know if people remember back when this happened. They had a lot of weather problems. It being Scotland, but even for Scotland, it was worse. So the rain. So they had the initial plan was from Edinburgh Airport to take them in a helicopter and land, but they were worried about the landing because a lot of it's. They have a lot of golf course around this stuff. It was going to be like too, like marshy, and like they were just like worried about that. So they scrap plan would go for the decoy, the convoy. Sorry.
So what were they landed in?
Was it? They were going to do it in the field like originally, but then they did.
No, I mean the helicopter.
I'm not sure which one it was. To be fair, I know which ones the British would use, like a Gazelle, but it would be like I guess, but I'm not sure what the American like version would be. But it might have even used. It probably would have been like one of the British ones, so I guess it would have been a Gazelle, but I'm not actually 100% sure on that. But when he went through the convoy, it was a lot better. And when it come through night, it was only 4 miles away from the Edinburgh airport, so it wasn't far from the trial. And plus this, it was down Mahoney, and that was what the hotel, and it was only 4-star, so I don't think the public like probably guessed that you'd be staying in a 4-star. But it is the top of the range 4-star. It's like practically 5-star, but the fact that it's a 4-star probably thrown quite a bit off, and it's in the middle of nowhere as well. Logistically, it's like really good as well. It's not
very calculated.
Yeah. So, but honestly, when we were getting ready for him to come in for his one night stay at Down Mahoney, it was really like sort of mind blowing how much detail goes in there. I mean, I've got an eye for details, but the Secret Service are the best in the world, and they've really shown it like then, and the drain pipes were all like welded down together. Like, any TV that was inside the hotel had to get taken out, and they brought their own one in case there was any buggings. The underneath the wine cell, the cellar got turned into a nerve cell with all the cameras. They had all the CAT teams obviously there. That, for the viewers, that stands for counter assault teams. So they had lots of people stand by. I had the snipers there. Whoa. And it was like, and then when he actually come in for night time, they had the air support as well. But it was low flying, so obviously sound travels a lot further and a lot louder at night time. So it was a real good sort of buzz when it came over.
When they were flying low, did that make you kind of give you a little flashback of being in a battlefield? Be honest. Be honest.
To be fair, it was like sort of similar, really. It was like that sort of feeling that I'd
feeling that
missed. Yeah, when you hear the propellers and stuff. But that was our like key to like know that the convoy was close. Like the packet was like obviously could come in. Because it was only when they like travelled like in sort of thing where they had the air support. So that was our key to know that it was close and everyone was in position. Everyone was like ready. And then obviously we did the same bit in reverse when it was time for him to leave. And obviously that's when Wright said about the picture. It was BBC News and some newspaper when I was spotted next to the Beast sort of thing. But
yeah.
a great vehicle. I know you've got a
do you know?
interest in.
Do you know what? I'm obsessed with that vehicle.
Yeah.
Like the Beast, obviously, it's the Cadillac one. You know, it's a presidential vehicle. However, in 2018, when Donald Trump was in power, he invested 15 million into it. Now, for those that don't know about the Beast, it just seems like a normal limousine, but you know, the door handles alone have 120,000 volts in them. For anybody that tries to open them, inside of the Beast is triggers for grenades. There's also oil to spill if there's a car chase. It's actually soundproof for the inside in case there's a gas attack. It sits 7 people, and there's always a medical doctor following 3 cars behind. And also, for those that don't know, this is I might be sounding like a nerd here, but the Beast can actually travel up to 40 miles with flat tires, and it can only reach 4 miles per gallon. So I mean with the petrol prices nowadays, I don't think buying is going to be coming back. But going back to the Beast, it also carries you know, the president's blood type, doesn't it?
Yeah, blood type. Yeah, that's because when it was working there, it was sort of like it was being like a movie, like as cheesy as that sounds. When you walk around, you see it in the decoy. The convoy was huge. We think I had all the bikes that went out first, and all the vehicles. There was loads of them. But when the Beast went past, that was like sort of a moment. Cause obviously, I know a lot about the Beast, like, especially in the private school industry. It's like sort of like the pinnacle like vehicle. It's the most armoured vehicle that's non-military.
Yeah.
And it's obviously in the media a lot. It's one of the things as well. The public, a lot of people get like yourself get quite interested in it because of its capabilities and the windows like 4-inch thick, like for the blast. And there's quite a lot of conspiracy as well because like obviously you can't leak out the information. So there's a lot of things online where like people say it's got this, it hasn't got this, and there's a lot. It does generally generate quite a lot of interest. The Beast vehicle.
Yeah, and you know another thing about the Beast is. What I found out is that at any given time when the Beast is travelling, there's always 2 with the same number plate. And when Joe Biden was, it was what's the name? Inaugurated. You know when he becomes president. I don't know. I'm not American. I'm not.
When he's elected, right?
Yeah, when he came into power, there was actually 7 with the same plate on that road. So there's always 2 with the same number plate. And there's always a medical doctor, you know, following 3 cars behind. The Beast is just fascinating, you know. But you know, one thing about one story about the Beast is, I mean, only in Scotland can you see the world's most safest vehicle filling up at a BP garage, right?
Yeah, it did on the Edinburgh like stretches because it was on the. It shocked quite a lot of viewers, and it's documented in the paper. And that's another thing that I'd say. Everything that I've said like today, I wouldn't like say unless it was open source, as we call it in security. Like if you can go like research just the papers all got it. So everything that I've said's all on there. And then also the papers got their little gold mine when they had a bit of a mess up and they had to like refuel at the at BP garage in Edinburgh. So a lot of like bystanders were like confused by it and then got a few photos. But nonetheless, it wasn't the most entertaining and bizarre thing that happened actually on that trip. There was another one.
It wasn't. There was
typical Scotland fashion. We had a flasher as well. That's
only in Scotland will a man flash the president of the free world in the safest car in the world.
So everyone has their own like different arguments which presidents like, which they don't. Some people like different ones and stuff, but for us it was like the seat.
It's the status
of the actual like your seat sort of thing. So the fact that this sort of guy did it, whoever was in charge, like they it was like no arm was done. It was comical. And that's actually documented online in the papers. And
that's hilarious. I think if it was Trump that stopped at the BPI, he would have got a meal deal. So we're going back to you say it was like a movie, right?
Yeah.
What was your like? What was the wow moment when you were like the closest to the Beast and the president, and like the first time, and like what was your initial thoughts when you were like, what the hell?
To be fair, when it come in, it was like dark and stuff, and that wasn't. It was all like a bit rushed because they wanted to get him in before the media and like for the security reasons, get him like make sure that the principal was like in house and safe. So that was like was no mess about it. That was all fastball. We tried to get him in as quick as we can. But as we'd left, because the media got word of it, there were people outside. That's where the BBC and the Sun. That's where the footage was and everything. That people back home like see me on. But that was like a completely different experience. When I did leave, obviously it was like next to us, and Biden, to be fair to him, actually did. Then he come out the main hotel a bit. Or was he actually give the public a wave? That was one of the photos that was in the document. But obviously, so he wasn't worried by it. Sort of. He knew he was like secure, but. That was sort of like a strange. We haven't seen all the media there, so that's what I say. Like the daytime experience and the nighttime was different. The nighttime was just like complete like buzz sort of thing, whereas daytime wasn't as well. But it was sort of like our cover had all been blown. Then I enjoyed it when we sort of like getting them in because it was all the
because you really enjoy the tactical side.
Yeah,
of
like
the
tactical
planning,
side,
and then
yeah.
kind of the decoys and I mean, how much of that like did you? I know you're like a sponge when when you put your mind to something, yeah. How much of a sponge were you to the tactical side of of working with the Secret Service? Like seeing how efficient they are, how calculated they are. Like how impressed were you, and what did you take away from that?
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. How everything was like clockwork, like spot on. Like with the car search zone will come near. Like we've got the dogs, but also when they're operating like doing the sniffing sort of thing, the sniff dog, they get tired quite quick because operating at like a high level. So they had to like quickly rotate the dogs like quite often, but that was all done like efficiently. But like I said, going back, when I think the most efficient thing I've seen the operate is when it was time to pack. When the president was when the Eagle was off, so you had to actually like say that as well as if it's like in the films and stuff. But when he's like actually like airborne, when he had gone, that's when it was like safe and they could start packing down the safe like haven, like the nest sort of thing. Because if like say that BP garage couldn't get it, we probably went back to that like hotel because everyone was like still like waiting there and ready. But I was so impressed with how quickly, when it was time to go, like the amount of equipment they had and how quick they did it. But they must have drilled it because it all started from the rear and just one moment it was just like then they were just like gone. But
yeah, because obviously the Beast the Beast actually weighs the same weight as a Boeing 747 plane, and it actually has its own plane. So even getting a Beast out of there would have been a mission, let alone everything else. Now, you've rolled up to my house, tonight. You've rolled up to my house in a Land Rover. You're sitting there, you're dressed like Rising a foot soldier, mate. And the last time we spoke, you'd had an offer. You had a text from Nick Nevin, and we left the podcast. And we were both thinking, what does the future hold? Next thing I know, I'm opening the Sun newspaper. I'm seeing a rowdy crowd of people, football hooligans. I'm thinking something's kicked off. I zoom in and I see my friend Ryan Barby. So what the hell happened, man? Like, how did you end up in a franchise that I love? You know my passion for the Rise of the Foot Soldier, You know how much I love that film. So, how was that feeling? How was that buzz for you?
Yeah, it was actually a doorman from Ketchum that messaged us when that first initial the poster that came out being on the front, and when they posted it on the socials and stuff. And obviously from part one, I said like how I like potentially was going to start filming it featuring in the film, but like now obviously got to the point like over a year later now that the film's actually released and it's all out there. It was brilliant, like filming. I had a great time. I had that scene that you seen in the paper at the front of the film.
You're
fight. I was at Root.
And you're on the poster as well.
Yeah, that was at Roots Hall, the Southend United football stadium. We did the fight scene there, and then we did the nightclub scene that I was in at the bar when the bar gets bottled, etc. and stuff. But when we were filming that, we did that on we filmed the nightclub scene first on the Thursday, and the football fight on the Sunday at the stadium. But in the film, it's like back to front. We go to the football first, and then we go to the nightclub later and have we kick off at the club as well. So I had to make sure in that time that I was wearing the same clothes. I had a fresh haircut, skin fade. Everything was exactly the same, which presented a problem because it was during a pandemic. So, but I managed to get around it. We did it, but that was brilliant times filming it. And when you're doing it, you don't realise how long it takes, sort of thing. We filmed so much different bits, but you don't know until the premiere or the first showing comes out how much of the film you're in. So when I got invited down to Leicester Square for the premiere in London, which that film was the first film that got shown after the pandemic. I think they just beat the new James Bond film, so that was actually the first one in the UK that got showed there.
Because I mean, I remember seeing footage of you on the red carpet, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
tell me a little bit about that. Well, I mean, what was it like working with the likes of Vinnie Jones and with the likes of Nick Nevin and and for working for a franchise that we grew up on, like
watching it. Well, yeah, I loved my mum's like quite liked Vinnie Jones and that as well, so that was pretty cool. It was a ticket down, and we when I went down the red carpet, I was just glad that I don't suffer from epilepsy because I wasn't used to all them like flashes. But to be fair, it wasn't really sort of like me. It was a bit different. I like staying out the background of it. I don't really like to be in the limelight in the front of things. So I was like swap roles for once. You know what I mean, rather than the security out the back looking after people that go down the red carpet. I was actually on myself.
Did it feel strange?
Yeah, it felt. It wasn't really like it didn't feel a bit alienated for me. I was like, it's not really my thing. But
were you still looking out? Like, was the CP in you? Was it still like?
Yeah, you never like switch off. But it's it's brilliant when you said about some people were in the film and like the franchise. It was all good. I loved when I was down there and I watched it and everything. But I know, like yourself, you always liked the first one, didn't you? That was your favourite one.
Mate, like I remember when I came out in 2007, I was doing it. I was hooked. I will never forget the ending scene. This song and listening to Carlton Leach when he's listening to the voicemails. Those are actually the real voicemails.
There was 2007 the film came out, and then there was obviously Carlton Leach that I knew he liked, but I've seen
and shout out to Carlton Leach because he supports you a lot in everything you do, and he even supports me, and it's an honour to have a man like the testament of a man like that.
It's cool. It's cool geezer. I seen him back end of last year, and he got us something actually. To be fair, he signed this piece. So this is actually from your favourite film you just talked about, like the first one.
The first one is it?
So that's the first poster. That's the first film, 2007. The film with Julian and everything, and that's Simon Collins. He wrote all the best, and it's
is that a picture of Nigel?
That Nigel Benn, yeah, and Carlton. There's Carlton, but he's put all the best at the top, and he signed it to kids. That's Carlton.
That's heavy. That's heavy, bro.
Yeah. How much do you like that? Then Vic, would you say out of 10?
That's an 11 out. That's got to be an 11 out of 10, bro.
Oh, if you like it that much, sort of thing, this would you're more of a fan than me, sort of thing. So it mean more for you to have it than out with me. So this can be my little gift on the podcast for you.
Are you for real?
So you can do whatever you want with that. Just you can. It's yours now from whenever I leave the store.
Are you for real, bro? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, you like the films more than I do. You know what I mean?
Wow. From the original film.
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, that's the poster and everything.
I'm a wordsmith, bro, and I don't even know what to say right now, but wow.
Yeah, because obviously the time he's put all the best in Carlton, but he hasn't put names or things. It's open, so
that's amazing, brother. Thank you so much, man. That's wow. That's staying there. That's not moving.
We're gonna finally get shot of the Buddha. It's all good, man.
Yeah, do you know what? That Buddha needs to go. So obviously, bro, like, for you, it's mad, like you said, the red carpet, being on the other side of that fence, there's still that CP thing in you, right? Obviously, you've worked with major stars like the likes of Stormzy, KSI, like JLS. So, I don't know watch one of your podcasts. Is it really worth it? And you said you don't really get starstruck, but there is obviously like idols you look up to, so and that you've met. So let's go into that. Tell me a little bit about that. Like who inspires you the most that you've met, and what was kind of the energy that you got from that?
Yeah, well, since like part 2, I've been trying to carry on, like not mention anything from the part 1, so it's all been like fresh stuff. So since part 1, obviously, till like present day till now, I've met like 2 of my idols, sort of thing, especially in MMA. Well, just in life in general. Like I met George St. Pierre, who's like
Rush,
a true martial artist, like, obviously animal inside the octagon, nice guy outside the octagon.
A bit like yourself.
Yeah, well, I try to be as close to that as I can. I look up to them sort of people, and that was like brilliant. He was like dead humble and stuff. Because even he looks up to like Arnie and stuff. So he's just like the humble guy sort of thing.
So you met him at the Arnie? Was it the Arnie conference you met him?
Yeah, the securities was like their sort of thing, and we got to like meet him, and also like got to meet like sort of my favourite sort of thing, old Habib.
Wow.
So like the eagle.
The eagle.
So he's
undefeated, pound for pound.
Yeah,
wow, like
the boy. So he's the main man that I'd love to meet. So I was like so excited to meet him and everything. It was like it reminded me of like you when it was like you can get into Madison's free on Thursday night. You get buy on free on the drinks.
Oh, that must have been a buzz.
Wake up with a red or blue tumbler, whichever VK you had. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I was like
with a girl in my bed who was fake tan all over my sheets smelling like a dog.
I don't have to lie on the podcast. You know there wasn't any women in the bed.
Shh. We said off air we weren't going to talk about that guy. Nah, just kidding. But like obviously, you like there's such a resemblance to me in my eyes between you and Khabib, in a sense of like just that not just the humbleness, yeah, but the hunger. Like you always talk about, you know, you're not the best, but you're the hardest worker. And one thing like you've always had is like you've just got to know there's no quit in you, and like you're just such a humble savage, so to speak. And there's such a resemblance between you and Khabib to me. And I've known you a long time, Ryan, and like, you know, this. The discipline that you have, like the discipline you have, the grit, determination, it's almost like you're 29 now as well, you know. Well, I mean, you're 33 now when you think about it, and there's such this crazy resemblance. I mean, what was it like when you actually bumped into the guy that you've been talking to me so much about?
Yeah, it was like surreal moment. It was just like really cool, but it's a lot different because with my close protection career, I've worked with like actors and rappers, singers, like footballers, or athletes and things like that. But maybe it was, like I said on the real like podcast of part one, I didn't really get like too starstruck. Probably why I'm quite good. Well, I tried to be good at my job, but when it was like them sort of thing, I did get like a different sort of feeling. I remember once at UFC I met Chael Sonnen as well, and some of the fighters, they're the ones that like catch my eyes. The people I met when I met like Duran or like Mike Tyson, I just love all like the fighters sort of thing. They're just people I had passionately looked up to. So when I got to meet Khabib and his little like clan that was there and everything, it was like just a really cool moment sort of thing. It was like definitely like a perk of a job if you get to like get through and like get to meet someone like that. So it was definitely cool about to meet, especially because it was in the UK as well. So he was doing his like thing over here and his talk. So it's not a person you'd probably cross paths with like very often as well. And he's a busy man now as well. He's got his UFC and he's doing like bits and bobs. So yeah, it was a good and it was, great moment.
It's very rare that man comes to the UK. Yeah. You know, so a little blast from the past here, Ryan. I remember logging on Facebook, I believe, in 2013, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've seen a picture of yourself and a man that had just tore his ACL before the hype, and I believe that was yourself that had a picture with him.
Oh, was that what Connor was there?
And you said, am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
And am I right in also saying that the caption of the photo said, "Believe the hype," and this was I believe after the Holloway fight when he did his ACL, and nobody back then
realised how big he was going to become.
Yeah, but I believe he was featherweight. He was a 145. And I believe I logged on one day, and like I said, I could be wrong, but I believe there was a photo of yourself with Conor McGregor, and that caption said, "Believe the hype. He's the real deal."
Yeah, we always knew he was going to start. Cause I knew a bit after that, like his like CP team, I got to meet like a few of them, become friends, and even like worked with them. They learned from them, etc. I knew that they said if he could like throw a left hook as good as he could like talk, he's going to be a champion. You know what I mean? He's always going to be like a superstar in the sport. But yeah, that was.
But how was that encounter with Conor? Like, what was
he was like just like cool to face it. He was obviously injured and he was signed to UFC then, but he was known amongst fight fans everyone knew him, but the general public, like only a few like really knew him. But obviously, fast forward like a mere 2 years after that, then he was the talk of like the whole planet. When he was like, and then last year he was the highest paid athlete in the whole world.
Yeah,
Wasn't
that's
he?
right. $8 million a minute. The estimate he made.
So
and you know, it's funny.
all sports. Yeah.
It's funny because I read in John Kavanagh's book that Conor actually stopped and signed on his way to his first fight, 2013 in April. Now, to fast forward 2015, he knocks Aldo out and becomes a superstar. That's why I'm asking, like, is there anything that you took away from that encounter, like, as a person, you know, like, obviously you don't get starstruck. Back then, you saw him as an up-and-coming fighter, but what made you write that caption, and what made you think he was the real deal when nobody really knew he was a goal? He was number 9 in the rankings back then. This was before the Dennis Seaver fight. This was after, you know, it's his first fight that he didn't finish with Max Holloway, and when he blew his ACL. So like, well, like, I mean, how long was that encounter? Like, do you remember like what you took away from that?
Yeah, I just remember like maybe had good like self-belief. Obviously, when I injured my knee myself, so it's good to get inspiration off something like that, come back from injury quite quick and just like never quit. And you can tell he's just got like special like kind of character. He's gonna like go far. He's got like awe about him. People like want to watch him. Like Mike Tyson in his prime. There's only like every now and again a fight comes around where like the whole like sort of world like watches, whether they want them to win or lose, they tune in. You know what I mean? But that was they just got like sort of like awe about him really, and it's mad how like they can go like so fast in the media. Because I see that with my close professional work, especially some of the rappers. What all singers really, but I find especially rappers. We did a little bit of work with like a young up-and-coming rapper, and you can go from like literally like release like 3 songs, and he's born straight in the media. I think it's because things like
social media,
yeah, like the TikToks, and they can just go from like 0 to 100 like so quick now. It's incredible when you see it from, because sometimes they can have like start getting the CP team straight away, and 1 or 2 like guys they start needing the protection or whatever, and then you see them like literally like 6 months later, and they need a full team. Like they get like swarmed. You think like, you see them change. Because I remember once when we did good examples of that, when we did like with like Dua Lipa, we had her like quite early before she like hit the mainstream, and like that's just one example of.
She seems like a very kind lady.
And then it just like went like crazy, like so. Like do fast forward like years later, like complete like the fan base just like blows up. But especially like say some of the rappers. Some of the rappers are really cool at where they like love a good party, you know, they're like a good crack man. I love like working with quite a lot of them.
Well, what was that like with Dappy?
He's a great guy to be fair. Like he's sort of dead funny. Like he's
I could imagine.
He's still young at heart and stuff. And
do you know what I love about Dappy? Is like the comeback was just ridiculous. You know, he's after everything he went through, he come out and dropped that freestyle, and that went through my heart when I listened to him. And then he's released an album, and I see you on tour with him, and he's just living his best life. And I'm guessing, you know, because obviously, you know, end-ups, he's kind of used to that already. So, but going back to what you were saying about people blowing up quick, like, I mean, as a CP operator, looking at it from basically like, you know, a fly on the wall technically, a very dangerous fly on the wall, but like, do you see a difference in a character change as well?
Yeah, I see like when they have like the entourage and like how they are, but you'd be surprised how like down to earth like some are. But it all depends on who you're working for. Every single person is like different sort of thing. Like,
what was it like working with people in Europe?
They were really like chilled. Like to be fair, like they were, like all the girls love like young ads, don't they, and stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot of the crowd, like, all the women going mad and stuff.
He's a cool guy.
We did like. I remember we did when my first 2 jobs after getting back from Glasgow from the president job was The Wanted and JLS. So both of them had a massive like sort of female like crowd of JLS. They all like sort of like scream for him. But it's cool like to see.
That must have been a tough job fighting off all those women there.
To be fair, actually, like when I first got back off of it, I don't know. It seems like the military. When I got back from Afghanistan, like we. Obviously on tour, doing everything real time, live firing, etc., etc.
Yeah.
When we got back to the UK, we started drilling like on exercise, doing like dummy runs and firing blanks and stuff. It, like the drop down was like sort of wasn't depressing. It was just like I can't really explain.
Yeah, but
such
climax.
Yeah. So when, to be fair, if I'm being like brutally honest on this podcast, that's what it's about. When I got back from doing the president job, the first like couple, I didn't really feel like the same sort of thing. It took me a while to get into it. I went a bit like off, like didn't probably perform as well as I should. And it sort of like took me a while to get sort of like get like kicked back into it. Like so that's one thing like I discovered. Also got a love back for it, but it was like strange. Like feeling when I did like them two, but the thing that I get the most kick out of actually now is obviously we're from Corby. I do like some like charity work. I try and use it for events for like the charity work because your brain, if you do something for someone else, it releases better endorphins sort of thing. It's like me giving you a gift or whatever. Yeah. But so with this charity work we had in the town, we had Dylan Harper and his mum, God bless her soul. Obviously they had the charity foot match like for them. So I got Anne Marie who. She's brilliant to be fair. I got Anne Marie to do something for their charity, and we had like KSI did sort of for this young lad called Kane that James Hunter does a lot of work for in the town. They did the Kane's Fun Day every year.
Oh, yeah.
So KSI did. I got
That's
to do something for him.
my friend JJ Hosey's little nephew, I believe.
Is it? Oh, okay. And I've never met any of the family, but I've just. I've passed it on to James Hunter. He deals with the fun day and etc. So I got KSI to do something for that on request and. Another female, Erin, she had like some health issues. So like Becky Hill, I got her to do something for one of the raffles that got arranged in Corby.
That's amazing.
And we've got other stuff like coming up that hasn't happened yet. But I've got a few people that have like got it sort of thing. So
obviously, like going onto the charity work and like doing it for things for the town. I mean, obviously, at this current present moment, you've been to a couple of schools and spoke to the younger generation, and you're planning to do more. So tell me a little bit about that, because that's a very not just heartwarming, but you to me, I'll be honest with you, because this is really uncut, is you've taught me one of the most important things in life, and that's how to be humble. Like I see you on a red carpet, I see you with George St. Pierre, I see you with Khabib. I see you with the President of the United States, and you still come back to your town, and the platform that you've gained, you actually use for good, and I really respect that. So that's from the bottom of my heart. But and now speaking in these schools, I mean, what kind of reception do you get from these kids, from this younger generation, that's looking up to you, and how does that make you feel, bro?
Yeah, so said to them. The kids sort of where to go and like talk to them. Same as a podcast, but I didn't do it for like boast about myself or for own cloud. Sort of, I try and get the message where I'm just a random guy from the Corby. So if I've done like this, that, or etc., anything that I've done, sort of thing that they might want to do, then they can do it as well. That's the whole sort of purpose for me coming on this podcast or going to schools. I actually got invited down to school that had the mental health problems and ADHD and sort of like kids that like steered the wrong path by a friend of mine, like Steve Masad from I met like knew from jiu-jitsu, and one of the stick fighting champions, like he competes at world level. He's actually the vice principal for that school, so I know them two a bit. They said, if you come down and like talk sort of thing, like let out to some of the kids that are like trying to get involved in crime, etc. Like it might do some good. So I just went down and just like tried to like talk them into like just like basically like. Really got like crime sort of thing, looks cool on the telly sort of thing, and because aside and then try and talk out, because aside from like celebrities or media like people I've actually like met like quite a lot of high level criminals as well. They're like quite infamous, so meeting and talking to them, I've learned like so much off of them. I've learned just as much off like listening to some of the Premier League like criminals, because some of them are very, very intelligent, and then I can try and pass the knowledge because they sort of regret it as well. Yeah. So that's what I can relate to these kids. See, I've been there, I've done it. I've spoken to people. I haven't done it. I've spoken to people that have been there and done it at like top level, and they all tell the same story. They wish they never did it. So talk some sense into these kids. You know what I mean? Yeah,
because obviously, I mean, you've worked with the most notorious enforcer in Scottish history, also best-selling author and a mentor to all now. Paul Ferris, the wee man. Yeah. I seen. You need to start charging these newspapers for putting the headline, because just last week I seen when he done his live show. So I mean, obviously that was another task that you couldn't speak about until afterwards because you're a professional. But now that that's out there, that you can talk about. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Paul. I really resonate with what he says. I love the way he words things. I love the way he just presents himself. He's such a gentleman, and I love the way he engages with his followers on social media. He takes time off at everybody. So I mean, what was it like, being at that event and being back in Glasgow after COP and working with the likes of the wee man?
Yeah, well, sort of with Paul sort of thing. He's like a great guy, but that was misconception. It was sort of a test sort of thing, but it was more of like a friendship. Like it was always really like a test, sort of private thing. Like because the person Anne knows, but I'm like close to a friend, so he's like close to Paul, and he said just come up, keep an eye on him. But it wasn't like a task as such. It was more like a friendship thing because like I know like all about Paul and all this stuff because for quite a few years now I've been when I was like my band etc. I've been close to his close like family friend. So his he calls him his cousin, not like blood, but they are like cousin because his like both their like mothers are like sort of like best friends and they've grew up together. So he's like really close to him all the way back from the 80s. So that he's like told me all about Paul, like educated me, like sort of took me under the wing sort of thing in life, not sort of security. And they've took he's like took me up as a guest sort of thing. We've been on their like personal like family table because man was like sitting next to like Paul's like missus who was lovely, his girlfriend, and then we was all there. But the level of respect like Paul like showed me, like hugged me up and everything, and then I did one of the pictures you've seen when we're down the canal listening to quite a lot of Paul's stories and educating us and about certain things in life. Like I've got Iron Brew. Paul actually bought that like for me, but that was all thanks to the person. That was only because of the person that I was with, because like Paul was is close to him. So
yeah,
that's respect to the person like that I was with sort of thing, because Paul's like close to him since the 80s, and then the other guy in the film, like Michael Emmett, like one of the lads like from down London, he's known Paul like from the 90s. He's done a fair share of like stuff in his day, and his dad was a player with like Joe Park and etc. as partners. But the guy that I was thankful for, he took me like with him, and he's since the 80s like they're so close to the extent that like his mum and when Paul's dad like sadly passed away, like my man's like mum was like in the car with Paul's mum sort of thing. So they're like they've like grew up together. So like big shout out to Jez and loving that. We were like because I was like in that sort of like company on the family table, because of him, that was respect. So we got to backstage. Paul said to us like us lot, we were right to go with him, I think. And then the next day we met with Paul again, like down at the breakfast, and we had to go off somewhere. And then we went down to the River Clyde. We had like a personal thing, a couple of hours. But it's cool when we first started the event because he whistled over like my man. Like when we were there, we went over and we just sat on the table like chatting for. Was probably about an hour, like give or take, like before the events or things. So we had our own little personal, just on the table, like with them sort of thing. So it was like it was a good like respect. It showed like loads of respect sort of thing. Cause
Paul, like from an engagement I've had with him, from an engagement I've seen, he just seems like a guy that's just full of wisdom, and I truly believe that even if Paul Ferris never became a criminal, I still believe he would have the same power and the same pull and the same following he has now, because I think some people are just born to be destined, and I'll be honest, like not that I condone crime, but like to me Paul Ferris is the most notorious and the most intelligent reformed criminal allegedly that this country's ever seen, because that man could just I said to him one time, I said, you need to do your own book. You're like a gangster version of David Attenborough. And he's such like the way that he handles the media that try to bash him with such respect, offering to come to the event, speak face to face. Like he backs him into a corner. He just it's like almost the art of war. Subdue the enemy with kindness, and he's I'm really looking forward to. His new book that's coming out with your friend the photographer. There's a book I believe this summer about Paul and Paul's life through pictures.
Yeah, he was there as well, but the Brian Anderson, he's got all the photos from back in the day and stuff.
Brian Anderson's work is amazing.
Yeah, my man introduced me to him as well, sort of thing. So it was mostly that linked to things. So I got him thank for that. And at the time, with the English like clubs met like. Reminds me a bit like the old school like ethoses during like don't swear in front of women. So when we met like through him as well, we met like Freddie Foreman. Like he doesn't swear when you talk to him, and like respectful to women. Like don't like act up with women in front of them. Like if someone's like a pregnant girl, like give her a seat or thing. But I like all them like sort of old school
morals, yeah.
Because that's sort of things where I go to the school and like talk about sort of thing, because they're the sort of things that are sort of like lost like in this like generation.
And that's, you know, I always say like the likes of Cotton Leach, the likes of Paul Ferris, like they're the last of a dying breed. And you know, Jay Solday, you know, a mutual friend of ours, and you know, such a gentleman. You know, he's got a podcast out now with I believe Jack Gomes and Cotton Leach. So I want to plug that. But Jay said one thing to me, right? He said his father told him, if you make friends with a Scotsman, you've got a friend for life. And he says, if you can walk out of a door and walk into that back door 15 years later, it says a lot about you as a man. And Paul Ferris, this man has been around for 5 decades, and he's still got the respect, he's still got the pull, he's still got the authority, and his following is so loyal. But that says a lot about a man, and I can honestly say that he inspires me in my writing, he inspires me in the way I speak. And there's a lot of people that, you know, claim they're reformed and then they get caught with guns and jailed. But Paul Ferris has genuinely been there, done that, wore the t-shirt 11 times, wrote the best-selling books, Unfinished Business, wow. You know, with your friend Steve Rafe.
He wrote the book as well.
Yeah,
I know Steve well on that front.
Another amazing podcast that you've been on.
Yeah, he got me on the podcast.
So, you know, I'll bang the link of that in the description for this, because yeah, I mean, when I was reading the book, he's for a guy, you know, from Newcastle to have the voice of the most notorious enforcer in Scottish history. Like he got it down to a T.
Yeah, it was UK history.
Yeah, and it's like it's the same with Jay Solday, and Carl Leach's book. Now,
that's good. Well, you got to give to receive something. That's why. So sometimes we do like favours for like something they do like back sort of thing. Like then that was good. With the close protection like stories, if we finish off with a few like funny ones, like when we had like obviously like Anne-Marie sort of thing, she was like getting like rid of her like burger sort of thing, like then no one wanted it, they were going to bin it anyway, so I said like I'll have it sort of thing. So if someone's on task, we do have a good little like story with that. And then we have
2 seconds. Look, do you know what, like see from this conversation, my head is fatter than that Buddha right now.